Hey y'all, and welcome back to the podcast. This is Big Time Talk with ya girl, TheAnimeNae, and we're talking all things Attack on Titan in its final season. Okay, who else is pressed that this is the last season? Please raise your hands. Actually, matter of fact, put up the little scout, the scout arm thing. I know what I'm talking about, the fist to chest. Oh, I'm so sad. I keep feeling the emptiness already that I know is coming, but I keep reminding myself that I've been here before. This is not the first anime that I finished. This is not the first anime that I loved that I finished. Okay, I cried so much when I finished Naruto Shippuden. I mean, just freaking tears. Honestly, it was sad to see it go, or I was sad to see it go, but really, I didn't want the character stories to end. I didn't want to give up on my characters. I wanted to see Naruto and Hinata be married and living life, and I realized I could just turn on Boruto. But let's be honest, the first part of Boruto did not suffice for all of that, okay? I was trying to see way more of Naruto and way less of Naruto's baby. But, you know, I'm like, honestly, I just wanted Naruto Shippuden Part 2. But I don't know. I heard Boruto gets better, but it felt lackluster to me. We went from, again, watching, I always say this, but we went from watching Naruto fight freaking Madara. I don't know. We went from seeing some of the most epic fights ever to we're watching Boruto train and him eat cheeseburgers and jump on trains and stuff. I couldn't get with it, but I digress. This show, AOT, is not going to have a sequel. It's really just going to be over. But, you know, we have some weeks left and it's not over yet. And so it's not completely sad yet. But for this episode, I invited Duncan, another amazing return guest from the We're Rewatching and We're Talking podcast. He joined me last week to talk about episode 77 of AOT Sneak Attack. And things are getting spicy, y'all. Zeke and Eren finally are laying eyes on each other after requesting to meet for the past literal whole first part of the season. I mean, all we were hearing from Eren was, take me to Zeke. And Zeke is like, so when are you guys going to let me see Eren? Well, here y'all go, okay? Y'all see where each other is at. Y'all are making your way to each other. Let's see how everything goes down. And so let's take a listen to Duncan and I's conversation because, y'all, it was a good one. Duncan, welcome back to the pod. This is actually your third appearance, technically, right? Because you were my co-host for the live show, which was super fun, so stressful, but it was a lot of fun.
So honored. So honored.
So yeah, you're a pro. You're a pro at this. Not new to this, true to this. So how is 2022 treating you so far?
You know, I was listening to your episode last week and the comment of it's going fast, it's so true. It is the 18th and my birthday is like next week and week after next. But either way, the point is that it's happening and things are like moving really fast. I set goals for myself this year, more so of just to hold me accountable of things, and not so it's necessarily like, oh, it's a resolution, it's something that I'll get done or like anything like that, but it is a goal of like continuing off of what I was already doing last year. I still have a lot of hanging, I guess, goals or things that I need to check off. And then a big thing that I found myself kind of like looking at in this year was just consistency. I get really caught up in the whole end result thing a lot of the time, and I'm realizing that being consistent so far has bore more fruit, regardless of how trying the lesson may have been. But being consistent has been the most fruitful thing for me. So that's how 22 has been so far. It's just realizing to be consistent and things come from that more so than just like.
Okay, you came into 2022 with a vision, and you said, look, I already learned the lesson. Okay, we 18 days in, consistency is key. I love that for you. Consistency is honestly like, yeah, it's so important, and it is so hard. It is so hard. Like, especially if you're trying to build habits or trying to build, really just building habits. I'm like, that consistency piece. I really feel like it is truly the key to success. Like, the most successful people really do stay consistent.
Yeah, it's but it like it's weird because I feel like, I don't know about you, I'm a contrarian by nature. So the second something like mildly works, I will self-sabotage in a way, but like, I don't have to do it this way because this requires discipline. Nah. And like life doesn't work that way. As I keep having to find out over and over again, recurring life lesson. So I just find myself being like, all right, man, like just do a little thing, like working out, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
I abhor it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. However, last year, I think, was the first year I had someone like constructively pull me aside and say like, hey, I know you want to do this, this, and this, but you do realize in order to do this, this, and this, you have to do this, like work out and like take care of yourself, watch what you're eating. And it kind of hit me a little harder when I started taking pictures for like, just like promo pictures for different plays I was in, or like doing headshots. And I saw how much more I weighed, and was just like, oh, this is what people are talking about. Or like when I would try to like do a certain move on stage and realize how tired I was after trying to like perform the move. And I'd be like, oh, this is what people are talking about. So like, it's not necessarily to get in a place of like, I need to lose weight or need to do X, Y, and Z, but it is getting to a place of moving and feeling comfortable in my body and being able to like feel like, and also just feeling strong. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't say I've lost weight by anything but stretching imagination since around the 18th day of the year or anything like that. But like, I definitely feel stronger. I go to work out, and while I hate it, it's not exactly my least favorite thing, I would say. Like, I make time for it, and I make sure like I'm on time for it, which is always a good measure of how much I care about something, how on time I am for it. Because trust and believe, if I'm like, oh, I'll be at the gym by 8 and I don't show up so soon, I didn't plan on working out.
No, that's definitely a sign that you dragged it. You definitely dragged yourself through them doors for sure. I mean, that's awesome though. I think that's a super healthy way to think about it, like wanting to be stronger, wanting to feel good, comfortable, and confident in your body. And that's kind of how I look at it too, like bringing movement into my life that feels good and that is working my body out, but not with the goal of, I've totally let go of ever having the goal of like losing weight. Because for me personally, that it was at whatever time in my life when I was like, all right, I need to lose weight or like lose like this amount of weight, these many pounds, it definitely puts me in a totally negative headspace, like totally negative headspace. So I've definitely like dialed back on that being my rhetoric, and I'm way more on board with, like I said, like just moving because it's the best thing to do for your body. And finding ways that, finding movement that feels good or interesting. But yeah, good for you, Duncan. See, look at you. You said 2022 is it. Okay, cool. What are you watching currently?
Great question. Since we last talked, I started in like caught up with, I guess, Jujutsu Kaisen. And I think this was, I don't think I started anything the last time I saw it. But and so now I read the manga for it, and I'm already caught up with all of the manga. So I read the manga weekly now. I know we have talked about Black Clover. I read the manga weekly for that as well. I'm still reading One Piece weekly. Really excited about what's happening there. Really sad because I can see the end happening. And so it's just kind of like this has been something like I have followed sincerely since like middle school.
Wow.
And so it's just kind of like, all right, buddy, brace yourself. Cause like realistically, is there probably at least 5 more years left of it? Sure. But like when it's been what, 20 years now, this has been like a thing. Um, it is, there's still like 5 years feels like nothing at that point. It's kind of just like, oh, it's ending. All right, brace yourselves. I for a little bit was reading the Fairy Tale 100-Year Quest manga. I went away from it. It was getting interesting, but I just didn't like the release schedule. It was really hard to keep up with. So I may get back into reading that again. I've been keeping up with My Hero, the manga, but I haven't been watching it. I hear like it was like the overhaul season was really good, and I need to go back and watch that. So that's something that like I'll probably like carve out time to sit down and watch. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that either A, I'm looking forward to, or like, oh, like be like I really need to start it. I saw on YouTube like a fight compilation for Mob Psycho. So I really want to get into that because that looks really fun. There's also Tokyo Revengers, I think. I see a lot of people talking about that, so I'm kind of interested now. Bleach is coming back this year, I think, or next year one. And I love the arc that's coming out. This is hands down my favorite arc. I think Kubo finally buckled down and really decided that he wanted to like tie up his story nicely, even after he admitted that he completely lost focus and didn't know where he was going with it. So I really like this arc coming up. The 1,000-Year Blood War is it's worth the wait, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. What else have I like? I think that's about it. I could drone on, but like I think that's like about it of like what I'm actively watching. The rest of it is just queued up, and probably I'll get to it when I get to it. But like, we'll see.
I feel you. Okay, 3 things. First, I just started getting back into One Piece. I'm almost at episode 600. And sometimes One Piece though is it's a little too easy for me to like throw on and kind of like stop paying attention. Like don't let it be like, oh, let me watch this and watch what, like if I do that, I will stop paying attention. But when I'm paying full attention, I love One Piece so much. But it's just not one of those shows that like I have to like actively for real give it my all. And then second thing, Mob Psycho. Yes, I love Mob Psycho 100. It is one of my favorites. I've watched the 2 seasons that are out a couple of times. It's so entertaining. I think have you seen any of it at all?
None of it. Like
have you read
aside from like I haven't read it.
Okay.
Like aside from like little fight like compilations on YouTube, that's it.
I think you'll really enjoy it. It's actually funny to me. And a lot of times, anime will be like a little corny. It's like funny, entertaining, but it's not like actually like I think Mob Psycho is actually funny. The main character is just so relatable too. I love him. And Bleach. All right, I have a confession. Okay. I have a confession. I love Bleach so much. And I don't know if it's like it honestly might just be like heavy nostalgia for me. It was one of the first anime, it's on Toonami. Definitely probably anime like 3 or 4 that I ever watched, but I never finished it. I'm not caught up. And like 2 years ago when they first were talking about coming back out with this new season or animating that arc, and everyone was like, oh, I love it, like I can't wait. I was like, yo, I never finished Bleach. Like I have to go back. So I started rewatching it and I just stopped. I stopped after they actually like rescued Rukia and like really early on, like probably got to episode like 70 and stopped again. But I remember, it's hard because like I remember a lot of what happened. So while I was watching it, I was like, okay, actually I remember this. Should I just skip this episode? But I need to like, I want to actually just like for real give it attention and fully watch it. One of my favorite arcs, and I actually don't remember that much from it, and I think people hated it, but the one where like their swords are actually their bankais are brought to life, or maybe not their bankais, but their souls, like their physical manifestations come to life. And I want to say it was probably like a side arc or something like that, but I thought that was so entertaining.
Yes, it was filler, but it was it was like, it was interesting. It was interesting. I think my issue with it was more so of because it was filler, I didn't know how much of was animators leaning on to their own understanding versus the actual author being like taking from like the actual author's source material. Right. I couldn't tell if it was a situation of like the author, because he openly said like, hey, I forgot everything I was doing. Don't really know what was happening. I don't know how much of it was like, here are my notes, piece together what you will. And then did he like completely do away with it? What does it mean? And there's just there was so much like left unsaid or like left way too wide open for interpretation. It wasn't like it was like everything wasn't expounded upon well enough for me to be like, okay, you can leave this open. I don't know. It was weird. It was one of those shows where it started out as clearly there's a lead, there's a main focus, there's a main character, we follow this. But then like you introduce all these other characters and how they're supposed to be affected by this character, but then tried to give the other characters backstory, but then back away from it. And it was just like, it left too many holes for me. So like it didn't commit one way or another enough. And I hear you on the whole, like kind of went away from it. That's why it took me a second to get excited about seeing this last arc animated. And I had to go back and reread the arc to remember how much I really enjoyed it. To be like, oh, okay, like it's a step away from, because quite honestly, after the Huecamundo Eisen arc, I felt like you don't need anything after that.
So is it and am I saying this wrong? Is Ichigo, what is it called? Fullbringers? What is it called?
Yeah. So Fullbringing.
Is that after? That's after, right?
That's after Eisen.
And you're saying that whole thing is like, you don't even need to watch it. Because that was actually gonna be my next question. Like what? You said you do. You need to watch it, but it's not great.
Yes, there we go.
Okay.
It's a they introduce cool concepts, but then like, I don't want to say betray them. It just gets weird. Okay. And it's just like it's a very roundabout way to put a bow on the whole series. But I get why you do it, right? Okay. And it's incomplete still. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's why the 1,000-Year Blood War is so important, because even with the whole Fullbringing thing, the story is still incomplete. So it's just kind of like I could have settled with that being a time skip. Like if you had just time skipped me and said this happened in time skip, give me like 4 chapters, 5 chapters of what happened, I'd have been okay with that. But for the 40 chapters, I think, or 30 chapters or something that it took up, not. I mean, once again, yes, it's kind of needed for the story, but like, I wouldn't be mad if someone was like, oh, I just found someone's breakdown of the arc on YouTube and watched it, because.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna give it a shot. I literally have no choice. I must watch this new season. I would feel like I betrayed my entire childhood if I did not tune in. So
this new season's gonna be, you're gonna love it. I think if anyone's on the fence about Bleach, this new season I feel like will be one of the things to win the people that were like there before. Now, if you've always hated it, you just hate it. That's fine. Yeah. But like, if you were a fan of Bleach at one point, I think this new season will definitely be the one where it's kind of like, hey, this is what I love. This is what I know and love.
Nice. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Okay. AOT question.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if we talked about this before or not, but if you had to give any person a Titan, like a specialty Titan,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of have an idea, like I have two people in my mind that you, or three people in my mind that you might say. Why am I like this? Why do I have to get, like, I'm like, I think I know who you're gonna say. But if you had to give a person a Titan, a specialty Titan, who would it be? Like, who would you gift this Titan to in this moment, like where we're at in the show, like all of this is going on?
There is two people. No, you're right. There are three. So first is Hanji.
I just smiled so hard. I knew you were gonna say Hanji, but okay.
First is Hanji. Second is Mikasa.
I knew I should have. No, I didn't want to influence you at all. But I was okay. Who's the third?
Third is Jean.
Okay, I didn't expect Jean. Okay, go ahead. I thought you might have said Yelena, only because I feel like that would be some chaoticness. But
Yelena, listen.
She do not need no Titan, but
she doesn't. She doesn't need a Titan. Quite honestly, we need Sea Stone put some handcuffs for Yelena and like throw her in like the basement. Like, my God, jeez. So yeah, no, my reason for Hanji is because I feel like next to Erwin, she is the most tactical, or in Pixis. I feel like she's the most tactical, and I even still feel like she is willing, she is capable and willing, and not to say that Pixis isn't capable at the moment. I just don't see him moving as well with ODM gear. But she is capable and willing to like handle her own, and do what needs to get done, right? Her saving Levi and making that big jump.
Mm-hmm.
Pixis couldn't have done it, right?
Yeah, no.
And we don't know what the payout is of her jumping into the river or anything, but I mean, there's no way Pixis could have done it without getting shot.
Yeah.
Not saying that I don't. Oh, listen, I have a list of people that just have to make it to the end. I have a list. So anyway, but yeah, I think Hanji just has what it takes, and then just the wherewithal to battle the Titan within, like, to battle the Titan within her, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big thing that we talked about last season, was just battling the Titan within, because that is years and years and years of experience and all this, trying to bog down on one brain. Mm-hmm. And so they usually succumb to the Titan's will, not their own, all this other fun stuff. And so I think she is the one that would be able to withstand that and be able to present with rationale and all of this, and not be like insane or Jaegerist, if you will, about it.
Right.
Mikasa, because something about I don't think Ackermans can become Titan. Yes, they can. Yeah.
I don't know. I've like, okay, do you know for a fact they can or can't? Wait, you said they can't?
I don't think they can.
And I'm like, I've heard that too, but I'm like, where are we getting that from? Like, was that said at a certain point?
I don't think it was said. And what was said was they resisted the king's control.
Right. Okay.
And so for some reason they're not affected by the royal bloodline or the shout or anything like that, right? Yeah. Is my assumption.
And I think at some point it was said that like Ackermans themselves are so powerful. Like they were supposed to be like human Titan type people. So like really what, like I've always said Mikasa too, because I just feel like who could be Mikasa as a Titan? I just show who? No one. But I do think that it's like that's not a thing for them, but it would be a game changer. And if the big three, if all three of them had Titans,
this wouldn't even be a war at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Jean, just because he deserves a break.
He needs a break, man. Honestly, all of our original Scout friends need a break. And I agree with Hanji too, because like I feel as though she's been really like strung along this season. I feel like she hasn't really had as much control as I would have wanted her to as the commander. Like she is brilliant. And I feel like she's been having to be at the mercy of Eren, of, you know, of just like the bigger picture of everything. So it would be interesting to see like if she had a Titan, what strategy or what she would do with it. I think that would be good. I would love that. But yeah, I I had the random thought of like, what if Onyan Capone had one? I don't know how that came to but I was like, what if he came? But I don't even think I feel like he's not an Eldian though. No, he's not an Eldian. He's just from a different country. And like,
yeah.
Okay.
I thought he was like a subjugate of Marley, but wasn't Eldian? Or he could be Eldian.
I want to say that he might have been like, if I'm remembering correctly, I think Yelena was saying that some people were taken from their home countries or something like that and then brought to Marley. But yeah, but I just had that thought. I was like, man, that would be actually hilarious. Anyone who just doesn't have, like, who has a stake in the fight but doesn't have a clear place, I'm just like, what would y'all do? Right. But yeah, okay, so I'm gonna do like a recap of this episode because I feel like it's just so much going on. And throughout it we can kind of like discuss and everything, but starting off, I just want to say honestly, this freaking episode, I don't know what it was, but I loved this episode. Like I almost cried like twice during this episode. But yeah, okay, so many moving parts. But we open where we last left off the last episodes with the scouts trying to figure out what they're gonna do, if they're gonna help Eren or not. Which I'm like, come on, y'all know y'all are gonna help Eren. I don't know why we're even having this discussion.
You're lying to yourself. It's okay.
You're lying to yourself. But let me just pause right there, because what I don't want AOT to do is become One Piece, because we do not need the recap. We do not need to see 4 minutes of the last episode in the beginning. Like, we've never had that before, and I don't need them to start now. We only have so many minutes. Like, let's...
Right. That's right.
Like, you know, episode 1, I was like, okay, yeah, let's... But I'm like, no, we remember.
Yeah, we were right here.
Just last week, we were right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so ultimately they decide to help. Even Niccolo and Sasha's family escape, which I'm like, why? Y'all definitely need to stay down here. This is definitely the safest place for y'all, but okay. And as they're going upstairs, Armin's trying to convince Mikasa that Eren was lying about hating her and had to lie about everything, which, since that was okay, I kind of believe that too, but I'm now like, why though? Like, what is the motive? Like, why would he need to lie to them? Especially because they're so loyal to him as a person in general, like not as like Eren the savior, but they're just like, we care about you. So I'm just wondering, like, what could he have in mind that he would feel the need to lie? So now I'm kind of like going back and forth, like, I don't know if I think he's lying. I would say 100% I don't think that he's like for the euthanization plan, but I don't think that he's like lying about his feeling. I think he's lying a little bit about hating Mikasa. I think that's really harsh of him. I feel like he's just in his like bag right now and like eye on the prize and is just willing to say whatever. But I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence now about whether I think that was a whole lie.
I'm of the belief that it's not Eren talking. To this, the last time we're together, but I think this was originally something you brought up about how the Titans can quote unquote speak or like take part of the brain over and stuff. I think it is either the attack or founding Titan driving most of the discussion for Eren at this point.
Yeah.
I like to imagine Eren as like the Black Clover. Wait, how far are you in Black Clover?
Ciao. Well, the last thing I saw in Black Clover was I'm at the point where like the Diamond Kingdom is starting to attack, and like Asta just got off from, like, he was on trial because he's a demon, or he has a demon in his sword, whichever one. And he just like got out of that whole situation. But the Diamond Kingdom like just
The diamond or the spade?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it the spade? I want to say the spade.
Spade. So anyway, yeah, but you know about demons.
Yeah, I know about the demons.
You know
Yeah.
demons. Okay, cool. So it's like the Patry and not Patry and what's his name? Vengeance. And how like you could go inside like Vengeance's mind and he had like given Patry control. I'm having that same visualization for Eren at this point, where it's, what is it now, 3 or 4 Titans inside of him?
Yeah. And honestly, that would make a lot of sense. Like the whole like I'm not a slave rhetoric and all of that, 100%, that makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, I mean, it part of it, like you said, like it would then be a partial lie, so like him partially lying, but I don't think Eren's really piloting the ship anymore. I think he's just kind of like a observer.
Definitely. Side note, I was so weak because during that little scene they animated the part where like in season 3, the end of season 3, where they're all at they see the ocean for the first time and Eren's like pointing across, and it's just so funny to me because I'm like, oh, this is Mappa trying, like they're animating this scene that Wit did, and it just looked so bad. It just looked weird to me, and
didn't it? Who? I was like, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think.
I didn't remember it this way. So
yeah, I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that. But all right, good thing that was literally just like a 10-second thing. Moving on. Okay, so at the above, Eren is currently fighting Armor Titan and Jaw Titan both, aka Reiner and Porco. And honestly, he was doing what he needed to do. He was really fighting both of these people. And I'm like, I do not believe that Eren 2 years ago, however many years ago, would have been able to do this, but he is really doing it. And I mean, from my perspective, I felt like he was winning, and then Beast Titan shows up. And it almost seems like, to me, I feel like Beast Titan kind of ruined it, because I felt like Eren was about to be done with Reiner, and then Beast Titan comes through, throws some rocks, knocks Reiner out of the way, and I'm like, he almost just ripped Reiner's head off, though. Like, he almost just ripped Armor's head off.
So I was thinking that like Reiner still had the upper hand in that because he had the top position. So like it was a question of resolve. And so like even still, like, yeah, like we see most of the tension coming from Eren to Reiner, because he is fighting, like at this point he's trying to get Reiner off his head. But like I do think, left unchecked, like Reiner was still in a better position to crash his face in, if anything.
I feel that. And now we know actually what Reiner's motivation, because I mean, like, we talked about this a little bit last podcast, and I've just been thinking about it in general. Like, last part, Reiner had no resolve and he was totally done. And now he's back, and I'm like, what are you fighting for? But he finally was like, I'm fighting to end all of this. Like, like, clearly he feels like this has to end, and I have to play an important role in that. And let me just suck it up and in this, even for Eren's sake. But I was happy to hear that, because I still was like, what is keeping Reiner even like fighting as hard as he is? Yeah. Okay, so Beast Titan is standing on top of the wall, which to me is epic. And he destroys all of the blimps carrying the, whatever else is left of Marley soldiers or equipment, whatever the blimps had, they are done for. Peak is being challenged by a group of Jaegerists, along with Flock. Strong eye roll to that. Literally, Flock, get out of here. Yeah, literally throw up.
Oh, he's the worst. He's the absolute worst. How do you go from I'm just fodder to being like, oh, our biggest threat is out the way, or move, I can check his post too. Our biggest, I can make sure our biggest threat's out of the way. Fuck you, Flop. And I mean, I'm
Literally.
sorry.
No, you curse. Yeah, no, literally fuck him.
No, but
Because
like,
who do you think you are?
I, I abhor, like, there's never been like just a side character I've just been like, ugh, like go away. And that's coming from someone that has watched One Piece. Like, I have never felt a way about a character like I do Flock, in the way of just like, absolutely stop talking. And a close second is Connie, but we can get there in a second.
Okay, so Aaron is making his way to Zeke slowly. He's injured. He's limping his way over there. His Titan. Zeke is covering his back with Beast Titan at the top of this wall, throwing rocks at anything that comes toward Aaron. And then we switch and we see Colt, and he's on his way to save Falco. And Gabby makes the first move of the show. The very first, honestly, this episode, I was like, thank God. But she makes the first move that I can actually get behind. And she says to Colt, I'm going to come with you because this man, Falco, has been there this whole time. Honestly, I would have died without him. Thank God for him. I got to go with you. And I'm like, yeah, you do. Because I thought she was going to say, no, I'm staying here and fighting. Like, I thought she was going to try to like just be a part of the fight or something. When she was like, no. And I'm like, oh, here she go. What are you about to do, Gabby? But I'm glad she's like, okay, I'm going to go help you find Falco. Smart move. And then we go back below and we see the rest of the prisoners that are still down there, the people that are part of like the garrison unit. And is that what they're called? The garrison unit? The ones with the roses?
Yes.
As well as the rest of the scouts. And we see Falco, and this is what made me like so sad. I was like, oh my God. But we see Falco having a conversation with Mr. Nile, I believe his name is. And we've seen him a lot throughout the series, but like he's kind of like a passing character to me. I like don't really pay that much attention to him. But in this episode, he says to Falco, like, I don't know. I'll probably never see my family again, and I'll probably be a Titan by the time all of this is over. And I was like, I don't know what about that made me. And I think the way they animated it, his face just looked so just like, yeah, this is, he was just so downtrodden, like, yep, this is my fate. And I started thinking about like all of the people in the show that have just been sacrificed or just massacred, and how Paradise Island literally is like, they're not in the same spot. They might know more, but I mean, have the people of Paradise Island have just literally been given the shortest of sticks this entire time. Yeah. And I'm like, honestly, bro, yeah, it's probably over for you. You are correct. You're correct. John and the others convince the Jaegerists to let everyone out of their cells, which honestly, like, why do any of the Jaegerists think that they have any advantage over the older scouts? Like, they've literally been to hell and back. So what are you challenging? Like, you're dang there with your rifle shaking, like, no, go back downstairs. Jean is like, move. Get out of the way.
Like, what are you gonna do with this? Yeah, a lot of the whole thing about the Jaegerists being young and like naive, I get it, young and impressionable and all this other stuff, that makes sense. I don't want to say that like all of the elder scouts are capable, because I have my feelings about Connie.
You despise this man, Connie.
He's just, to me, I felt like as a fan, I understand why Sasha was killed. I get it, because I cared about Sasha a whole lot more than I do Connie. I just feel like Connie has always been, if not necessarily the weakest link, just someone that needed the extra push to realize that like this is life or death. I feel like every time it's come to life or death for him, he's just froze. And he's almost like Aaron in the sense of like life or death only affected him. It hasn't affected everyone else. And it's just kind of like, I don't know if it's him seeing his mom as a Titan. I don't know if it's what it is that's like really triggered him, but like everyone else is making room for him and his trauma in a time when they're all experiencing the same trauma, if not worse. And we're always playing catch, like he's always playing catch up, and we're always subject to his catch up. that it's just kind of like, all right. Like, and I can give room all the way up until you start like trying to bark orders, like, you know, you've been down with the fight since the beginning.
Yeah. And everyone else is really taking everything on in such a big way. Like they really, Jean has shown amazing character development to me. Armin, like every single person is really like just stepping up. And I do not sense that from Connie. Like, nah. And I feel like they've always shown him as like, you know, a mid-level. He can get the job done with killing Titans if he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty much it. And I feel like that's just how he's like coasted along this whole time. You know what? He might have needed an episode. Like we got a Sasha episode season 2, which made me like, I love her. And I was like, I'm obsessed. But yeah, Connie is definitely kind of there for me. Kind of there. I like him overall, but it's just like, I guess. Like you can't wait, what did you say?
So that makes one of us.
Yeah, but I'm definitely like, he shouldn't be making any of the decisions. Like,
oh yeah, no.
Like, sure, he can have some lines, but like that's it.
But like, like the decision making or like the barking orders or like any commands or anything, like something about like just his presence, something about his presence, especially this episode really just like rubbed me the wrong way. Because I was like, I don't know. I blame him for Sasha's death. He had no control over it, but I blame him for it.
I feel you. Because it's like, you know, what if it was him? But okay, so Pixis has now semi-entered the fight. You know, he's out of his cell. He commands everyone. Oh, we also see that Commander Shadis is not dead, which honestly I totally forgot about him, but cool for him. Honestly, I forgot about him before they brought him back in last season anyway. Like I totally forgot about his character. But there are a lot of people with these black armbands who drank Zeke's wine. Strong yikes. And Pixis is like, you know, if you don't have a black armband, you need to head on out and join this fight. Also the girl who Mikasa saved back in the day, like back in season 1, she's honestly so annoying to me, but do not question Mikasa. Oh, you're not gonna wear your scarf, Mikasa? No. Were you in the room? Did you hear what this man said to me? The scarf is staying where it is. Like, you shut up, do your job, and that's just it.
Mind your business, stay in your lane. Yeah, no, I'm with you. That line felt like, I mean, it's real in the sense someone would ask it, but it's also like, mind the business that pays you. And this damn sure isn't the business that pays you right now.
And you saw me take it off and fold it and sit it there, like.
Yeah.
And even just, you know, the last part, part 1, when Mikasa went to visit her and she was asked, like, questioning Mikasa's loyalty. I'm like, girl, you don't even know what's going on.
And see, that's the thing about the Jaegerists. I feel like the Jaegerists have, if not a fourth, maybe half the story. And they're like, oh no, we need to do this. And it's like, you killed Pixis. Like, how could you have, like, this is how I know you can't have the full story and you essentially just killed Pixis. Like, what? So.
Ridiculous. And then this is where we get this amazing shot of Yelena, arms stretched out. The Marley ships are falling and she is beyond delighted. I thought the animation of that was really cool. And even like, I think it was a shot where like Armin is looking at it too. And I'm like, wow, Mappa did a good job of this. But then, okay, so that happens. And we see the scouts see Zeke and they're a little hesitant now because they're like, okay, hold on, Zeke is here. But Armin's like, no, we need to still go with the plan. We need to help them, and they're the only two that can save us. If they need to touch, they need to touch, and we need to help that happen. Then Yelena, which I saw that like meme of her face on Instagram way before I watched the episode. So I thought that was like something someone made. I didn't know that actually happened in the show. No. But she looks at Armin with this crazy face. I'm like, what? I for the life of me, I do not understand the intention of that. Like, I do not get what that face is supposed to be. Like, is she like happy? Is she like happy that Armin is saying this? Because like her face does that, and then she switches to like blushing and like, oh yes, please help. So I'm like, what was that face?
I I wrote it off as Yelena crossed the burning sands, and that's her grit right there. I ain't never seen that in my life.
In my life.
Never. I ain't never seen that. Yeah, no, I literally was just, I texted my brother and I said, I have been to many a probate. None of them had grit like this.
Boy.
I was just like, ooh. And like it did scare me when I saw it. Like I admittedly, my first watch through of this, I was under the influence, and it took me out. It was very much like, wait, what is this?
I genuinely think if I hadn't saw it prior, I definitely would have actually maybe jumped. Like, I'm like, even the animation, it was just so different. Like, what the hell? I that just led me to believe, I don't know. I had this conversation with someone about how I really don't, she's such a wild character to me now, or just like such a wild card. I wouldn't be surprised if she came in at the end with like a totally different intention. Like, I don't know who she is. I think she does love Zeke and like all of that, but I don't know, man. And I thought back to our conversation. You're saying she's like a little unhinged, or she's just unhinged a little. She's definitely unhinged.
Gone. Yep. No.
Definitely unhinged. And I was like, okay. But yeah, that was interesting. So can't wait to see what's up with that. But yeah. Okay, so then we see Cole and Gabby. They find Falco, and Mr. Nile escorts him over, tells him to get out of there. Children should not be a part of this fight, which again, the people of Paradise Island are really holding it down with that. Like, they're really, really like trying to be resilient and also like protect others, which is crazy because like these, again, Marley has been trying to eradicate you for quite some time. So interesting. But yeah, so this is when Gabby does the second thing that I'm like, thank God, finally Gabby righting her wrongs, where she tells Colt not to shoot, not to kill anyone, and just wait and see what happens. And then clearly they're fine, Falco's fine. But then they overhear Sasha's family. And so they hide, but this is where Gabby overhears that they're still concerned, that Sasha's family is still concerned about Gabby and Falco, despite knowing that she killed Sasha, and despite all of that, they're still concerned. But on the other hand, Kaya is not. Okay, Kaya makes it very clear, if she gets her hand on a rifle and sees Gabby, she's chalked. So I'm like, shoot, somebody got to keep it real up in here. Okay, the adults might be able to do all of that, but
bang bang.
Yeah, and then Gabby has this like, this was another moment where I was like, dang, this is kind of sad, where she admits that she understands now on the island there are only people and not devils, and like she's finally kind of seeing through this brainwashing. And I'm like, finally, thank God. But I'm like, do people really have to go through all that? Do you really have to go through all of this to finally see like, oh wait, maybe this isn't what I thought it was? But I guess so. Then Falco, who I'm naming the MVP of this episode, or just of the series in general at this point, because I'm like, Falco is really ballsy out here. He tells Gabby that he loves her. Did not expect that at all. And that he joined the group just because he wanted to save her. And he also does tell he finally tells him that he was the one helping Aaron, which I'm like, you can't really blame yourself, Falco. Like, if it wasn't going to be you, it was going to be somebody. And he was going to do it regardless. Like, I feel like Aaron was going to do it regardless. Even if the letters didn't make it, I don't know. I feel like he was going to try it. But yeah, so Gabby and Colt are like, wait, we need to tell Zeke that Falco drank this wine. Maybe he won't turn everyone into Titans. Now, I would like to just take a pause right there as well. Will Zeke give any cares? Now, I'm going to give you a scale. On a scale from 0 to 10 cares. 0 cares to 10 cares. How many cares do you think Zeke is going to give that Falco drank this wine before he decides to still howl and make everyone a Titan?
Negative 12.5.
Bro, I said negative a million cares, okay? Negative a million cares. This man has dedicated his whole life to this, okay? He was willing to blow himself up. He's talking about, look at me, Mr. Kruger. Like, he feels like this is his life's purpose. You think you're going to run up to him and be like, Falco drank the wine. He's going to be like, oh, darn. Let me not transform. Like, what? But you know what?
Oh.
Sure.
He's going to be like, oh, great. Go ahead.
Right. Like,
a little touch.
I'm like, best case scenario, y'all need to again maybe go underground, because I'm wondering if you have to audibly hear his scream, or if he just does it, you'll still turn.
See, and I think there was something said about that or experience earlier where like people were out of the way from his scream.
You're right.
And they were like, oh, I felt the jolt, but nothing happened.
Right.
So like you can experience what, like you can tell you've been affected if you're not within range. But it doesn't mean you'll change necessarily.
And I do remember that. And low-key, the range is really big because he was in the forest. And when that happened, like it was like Pixis and all of them, but they were definitely so far away. And they're like, oh my God, what's happening? Like we low-key are a little frozen. I'm like, oof, yeah. If he screams, is over for Falco. I'm sorry. And I really cannot picture any world where Zeke is gonna care. Like he betrayed all of Marley. He betrayed all of y'all. So
again, it's really weird. It's very naive energy, and I think it goes into saying like Falco, Gabby, and Colt. Even Colt is only what 15 or something like that. Maybe?
Yeah.
So like, still kids, man. Like it's like they're making a very childish assumption about how like they were raised and brought up, and more so, I think this should be a Colt thing of him stepping up and realizing like what's really happening here and being able to explain to his little brother and sister figure, I guess, little sister figure, whatever we're gonna call her. But like that isn't the case. We need to get you all like get him away, like get him underground, get him away from all of this, because it's
someone needs to.
It's very hopeful.
Yeah. Okay, so back outside, Zeke is protecting Eren, and oh my God, here they come again. Flock's group. They think they took down Card Titan, which even looking at it myself, I was like, nah, but they didn't. Which again, to me, just shows how unprepared they, and honestly kind of dumb that they all are. Like everyone's looking around like, who made the kill? Who did it? And I'm like, do y'all not have protocol for this? And even last episode when Hanji had to point out to them what different, like just pointing out how they didn't know what like a dying Titan looked like compared to like what happens when a Titan shifter is transforming back. Like they just don't know. And I'm like, y'all really dropped the ball. That's so ridiculous. But yeah, so they leave room for Commander McGath to use Peak's gear, does a sneak attack, and they dang near annihilate Zeke. They don't quite destroy the nape, but they come pretty close. And now Zeke, Beast Titan, has completely fallen off the wall. Eren has no cover. And yeah, I mean, honestly, Eren picked better followers, but I don't think Eren put this together. Was this a Flock thing? Did Flock put the Jaegers together?
I think it was a combination of Flock and Yelena.
Okay, yeah.
Of like the group itself. I think Zeke and Eren were too caught up in their own agenda.
Right.
That it wasn't necessarily like, oh, I'm handpicking people, because you're right, they should have picked better people, and first year cadets definitely weren't going to be where to go. Also, Flock being anyone's commander in anything is a sign of poo-poo planning. So yeah, no, it's they did a shit job, but they needed people that could be easily brainwashed. I mean, if you look at it this way, Zeke and Yelena completely follow Marley tactics into getting these people on their side. There are very few. And I think they said this last in part one, but like it the people that were technically higher up, they were coerced, or that's why they had a separate band, because it wasn't like they like did it willingly. They had to be coerced or put in positions into which they had to obey.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense. I'm like, how, why, who are these people? Why are they a part of this? Because they are fucking up. Yeah, trash. But yeah, so now Zeke is incapacitated, And it's now just a race against time. Eren is still limping over, which, okay, I get it for the episode. It's more dramatic if he's still limping. But I'm like, he definitely would have been healed by now. Like, he been limping for this whole episode. Like, what?
But so that's where I'm confused, because this anti-Titan Marley equipment, I guess I forgot, how long has it been since the attack on Marley?
In my head, it's only been like 2 weeks, like max a month, because it seemed like it was a super quick turnaround. Like Reiner and all of them, they healed, they had their meeting, like, what are we gonna do? And Reiner's like, we need to act now. And then it kind of seems like a few days perhaps later, Peak was on the island. Mm-hmm. So I'm feeling like it happened pretty quickly. You mean, like, how did they like get all that together, like get the anti-Titan?
Yeah, like I felt like it was built really fast and highly effective, because like you said, like I figured Eren should have been healed by now throughout all of this. Also, Eren has immense control over the Warhammer already. And I guess I'm just trying to wrap my head around like timing for all of this. There's like keeping in mind of like the whole like lack of training thing that other people are struggling with. Block. So like it's just like where I guess I feel like I'm missing something still of like just a timeline. And maybe this can all be explained away, and I'm happy if it is able to be explained away, but like it's a lot to take in, especially like having anti-Titan equipment ready to take down Zeke of all people.
Right. He couldn't duck. I literally was like, why he ain't duck? I'm like, come on, Zeke. Duck, nigga, duck. That's literally what my thought was. I was like, oh my God, here we go.
You don't see this?
I'm like, this big ass machine. But yeah, so that's how we end. It is literally a race against time. Eren's still trying to reach Zeke. Commander Magath is trying to stop him. Reiner is trying to stop him. And everyone's like, dang, is Zeke about to scream? Now, I don't think that... Oh, and it also seems like Colt and Falco and Gabby are like legitimately on their way to try it. Y'all are really about to enter the battlefield to convince Zeke. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm excited for this next episode because I'm like, how is all of that about to play out? I don't think Zeke is gonna make a move like that this early on in this last part. I feel like if he does that, it's quite simple that it's over. Now him and Eren are gonna touch, and that's just that. Unless they have, okay, again, you don't read the manga, right? You don't. Mm-mm. Right. So I'm like, unless they have plans of like showing us a lot of the backstory and what Eren is going through and like the whole Ymir thing, but I just don't foresee him making that move right now.
Yeah, I genuinely can't see past them touching at this moment, which is weird because in my head, like it's like, okay, if they touch, it should be over. Like you said, theoretically it should be over. But I don't see how we get them to stop, because I don't understand the Falco and Gabby plot of like telling Zeke. That doesn't make sense. Magath is on his last little bit because he has to deal with other humans there. Mm-hmm. And then Yelena's at the top of the castle or whatever, looking crazy. And everyone else is just trying to make sure that Eren stays alive. Right. Like, so it's just weird because it's like, I don't see what happens next outside of them touching. I wonder if it becomes a situation of they touch and nothing really happens because Zeke's unconscious or something like that, or he needs to be conscious for it, or they need to be healthy. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm sorry. I think this is like Falco said everything that he needed to say. So I think this is his last, like his little last stand. I feel like that's the one thing that's been consistent throughout this series. The second someone presents closure or gives closure to anything, they die. Mm-hmm. So there's that. Yeah, I do want to say that I was right. Levi did end up losing a pinky toe, at least. And so I just, you know, put that out there for the
What do you
masses.
think is gonna happen with Levi? Because I mean, like, he's not a Titan. He's not gonna heal quickly. So I'm like, even if, yeah, like, okay, him and Hanji, I'm happy that she made that move and she jumped into the water. I had a feeling that she was gonna save him in some way. But I'm like, can they be a part of this at all? Maybe Hanji like can just get him to safety, but he's literally so injured. It's looking like that's gonna be a good 2 months of recovery.
Yeah, and it's not just like an injury, like, oh, okay, he's injured, okay, we'll get over it. He lost his foot, he lost his fingers,
His face is all cut up, like his face
he had
is
shrapnel all through his face, looking like not Pinhead, what's his name? Hellraiser. And so it's I don't expect much from a Levi after this. Like I don't. It is quickly becoming like Commander Levi to me from his wheelchair. And that's saying they make it out. Like I don't they shot bullets into the water, so I have to assume that something nicked Hanji. Like I feel like both of them are injured at this point, and it is life or death.
What if they man, I could see this, and that would be super sad if Hanji got shot, they make it like down the river, and now they're just like in the forest somewhere, and that's their last moments together, like just chatting it up, like wow. And we watch them both die. Yeah. Duncan is literally looking so distraught. Talk about mouth open.
Lene, you will not do this to us.
I know. To be honest, though, if this was my story, I probably would do something like that. Because I don't want to see them die in like a bogus way. I don't want them to die at all. But they aren't in a good spot right now at all. So I'm like, I don't want to just see them like, I don't know, like how Kenny Ackerman died by this tree. He was able to have a conversation with Levi, like it was a whole thing. And it was kind of like a settling, like kind of a poetic ending for him to me. I don't want Levi and Hanji just to be off. Like I can't. But I do have hope that maybe Hanji will make it because she's just that girl. She's that girl. You're not gonna get rid of her easily.
Yes. This is wishful thinking on my behalf, and there's nothing that suggests that this is something that will happen. But I kind of want Hanji to have like reverse engineered Titan blood or Zeke's blood to be able to like allow for rapid healing without turning someone into a Titan. Does that sound very Bleach-esque, very something that would come out of like any other anime but this one? Yes, yes it would. But that is like my hope of hopes, right? Like that I am looking for the miracle cure to come from Hanji to give us some semblance of a Levi back. I still want that pinky toe to be gone just so I have something to stand on myself, no pun intended, about predictions. So yeah, I want it to be a thing like where they both make it, but you're right, the storytelling in this show does not lend itself to that. Never has, don't think it ever will, but I can hope.
Yeah, I have hope. And really, I've realized the show is so freaking unpredictable. Like, just really never know. Just really never know. But last thing that I wanted to talk about or just say, I don't know why I was stuck on this either, but I was like, Armin, now what are you grabbing ODM gear for? You are the colossal Titan.
I was so confused. I was like, all you gotta do is tell people to, get like what? Oh no, I see why he's grabbing the ODM gear. there's not enough time for people to get far enough away from him.
That's true.
So when he transforms, he wouldn't kill them.
Doesn't it feel like his Colossal Titan does way more damage than Bertolt's did too, though? Like, I'm like,
Yes.
he transforms and he literally destroyed so much of Marley. And
Yeah.
Bertolt was not hitting that. Like, yeah, he would transform and everyone on the top of the wall was like, you know, a little blown away.
Mhm.
But this feels like, I don't know, maybe that's just like slight writing, you know, weirdness, but also like I guess maybe he's just a stronger Titan. He's like, you know, the next person to have it. Maybe he's got like has a little bit of a stronger ability, but I'm like, yeah, I do be forgetting that. He's destructive.
Like, he literally dried out their whole entire harbor. Like there was no
Right.
water for like miles. Because they were talking about like, oh, the steam he releases. And I was just like, good God. So yeah, no, I Armin, him grabbing ODM there makes sense in the way of like, hey, I can get there and talk no jutsu my way out of this. But like in the realm of like fighting with ODM gear,
Mm-hmm.
it's never been his strong suit. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know why you jumping up there, but like if you feel like you need to, go ahead. But like,
Have you ever seen Armin kill a Titan with OD? I'm trying to think back on a series. I don't know if I ever didn't see him made not one kill.
I think, wait, did he outperform Connie? Maybe. No, I don't even think he outperformed Connie.
He's definitely the brains of the operation, not giving much strength.
Right.
Not giving much strength. Which honestly, I guess Colossal Titan is perfect for that too. Like you're not fighting. You're literally just it's strategy. You use it in the strategy. Which makes sense. I mean, I feel like Bertolt was like that too. As tall as Bertolt was, he was not trying to fight.
Gentle giant, a gentle giant.
Gentle giant, very gentle giant. I guess no, this is the last thing I wanted to say. I am actually very happy that Mikasa is leaving this scarf. I don't know what her fate is gonna be, but I am ready to see her do literally what she wants. I feel like she really has just been strung along this whole series. To me, I feel like Armin has had a lot more autonomy. Like he wants a lot of the similar things Eren wants.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Mikasa really has just been like along for the ride, like having to clean up messes, be, you know, verbal punching, like literally a punching bag for Eren, and just I don't know. I want to see what she decides. I don't know how that whole Hizuru thing is going to work out. Like just depending on what Eren does, I'm like, this is we've now been introduced to this whole huge world, and I'm just wondering like what's next, you know what I mean? Like does that even will that matter in the end? Will the iceberg stone, will any of these things really matter? Or are they really just giving us context for why they're in the position they're in? Like is this stuff going to actually matter in the end or not? I don't know. I hope so, but
I want more from Mikasa than Eren. Their backstory and her endearment makes sense, but like is it one of those things I think for me where it's like, do you follow the person into essentially not the exact same thing that he saved you from, but like a form of it? Like she was about to be sex trafficked, and essentially now it's a whole euthanization plan slash like, so like it's like invalidating the life that was saved, which is it's just weird. So like I don't know, that whole siring thing, I wonder how much of that is true. And like, who is Levi sired to them? Did we discuss if it was Erwin? If siring, like the whole Ackerman siring thing, if that was real?
I don't know. I mean, I could see it being Erwin, but who, like, what are the parameters of who you get attached to? You know what I mean? Like, does it have to be a part of the royal family? And if so, then who? Like, I don't know.
Like none of them niggas.
Yeah, because and also like, because I was gonna say maybe Levi Aaron, he was sired to Aaron as well, but not Levi was very well ready to murk Aaron multiple times.
Give him a nice little dicey.
He at any point would have killed us. So yeah, I don't even know. Good question. I guess we'll find out. Well, will we find out? Shoot, I don't know. Okay, Duncan, any final thoughts? They don't have to be final thoughts, like whatever do you have anything?
Long live Pixis, long live Hanji, long live Levi. The Jaegerists are trash outside of Aaron and Zeke and Yelena, because she's just crazy. Fuck Connie, fuck Flop. Historia, I need you to come back into the story because I need to know who knocked you up.
Preach.
What does your baby mean for the world? Those are my things.
I concur with most. Definitely fuck Flock. I honestly, for real, they gotta go. I'm tired of the Jaegers, for real. Like, I don't need no more to do with none of that. But yeah, I'm wondering how long this war scene is gonna go, and how this is going to play out when they actually do touch, like you said. Like, is it going to be just as simple as that? And I'm also wondering, like, if their wills have to match up. Like, do Zeke and Aaron have to want the same thing? Or is it literally just transferred power? And how is it that Zeke is even really trusting? He's really trusting Aaron to go through with this plan, which I guess he's like, you know, we come from the same father, we experience the same things, like he probably is with me. But I'm like, why do you think that? Y'all have not grown up at all together, and y'all wanted very different things before this. So I don't know, but we will see. Stay tuned. Episode 70, what is that? 78 next week. Thanks for joining me, Duncan. This has been a phenomenal discussion. Tell the people where they can find you.
Cool. You can find me on Instagram at runs_on_Duncan_. There we go.
Great name, by the way. I love that Instagram handle. I'm like, that's so perfect.
So you can find me there. My podcast is on a break at the moment, but it is called We're Rewatching and We're Talking. We cover pop culture, mostly movies and TV series that have been completed. So we go back, talk about it, have a lot of fun, bring up old theories, talk about new theories we have. So you can still find that on Spotify or wherever else you get your podcasts. And yeah, there's about 17 episodes up, and we're looking to come back this year. So we're just reworking some things.
Woohoo! Phenomenal podcast. Listen, give it 5 stars.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, thanks for listening. This has been another riveting episode of Big Time Talk Season 2. If you want to connect with me, check me out at @_AnimeNae on all socials. And check out the YouTube, y'all. I'm still doing these recaps. They're coming out slowly, but they're still coming out. And yeah, with that, I will catch y'all in the next episode. Peace.